Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for doing this interview with me. And is it okay if I call you Kate, or do you have another preference?
No, Kate's totally fine.
Okay. So just before we get started, I just want to run through what it's going to look like during this interview. So I'm going to go through, explain the purpose. We'll go through the consent form. I'll have some questions for you, and then we'll do a little wrap up.
Cool.
So, so the purpose of this is to get to know you a little bit better, and I'll do that by asking you questions, mainly about your roles, your occupations, and your environment. So just so we're on the same page of those meanings in occupational terms, I'll just go through some definitions. So roles is the behaviors that you encapsulate, mainly in societal norms. So an example would be like student. I would be a student. Would be the role. And occupations are the day-to-day activities that you engage in, and that could be like individually, in your family, or in communities, and it just gives you meaning and purpose.
Cool.
And you can also, that can include things you want to do, things you need to do, and things that are expected of you. So my role as a student, but my occupations would be studying, taking assessments, or just doing other readings.
Yeah, cool.
And then environments are the things, those occupations that you do. So the surroundings that you do those occupations in.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Role student occupations, studying, and that could be done in the environment, so like a library, a classroom, or at home.
Yeah, cool.
So that is the purpose and those definitions. So if you just want to take a look at the consent form here, it's just saying that you understand the purpose, that you consent to being videotaped, and that you know that you can leave this interview at any time.
Cool.
And then I'm going to check those, and then on the back there's a signature and date for you.
What's the date?
April 2nd?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. So knowing those three areas, the roles, occupations, and environments, kind of thinking about those, can you just give me like a run through of what a normal day looks like for you?
So it's a bit of a tricky one. So for my occupation, each day looks quite different. So I work, it's a little bit complicated to explain, but I kind of work as a consultant for school chaplains, so in independent schools in Sydney. But there's about 25 different schools that I work with. So in a week I would visit about 3 different schools. So usually I would wake up, get ready for work, and then drive to work. So it's about 40 minutes drive. And then I do a couple of hours prep in the office. So there's 8 people that do the same job as me. So we share an office. And then usually about 11:30 or 12 I would go to the school. So some of them are close, but some are quite far away. So probably the furthest I'd have to drive would be about an hour and a half. For those schools, so I would do like a talk in their chapel or their Christian studies lesson. Some of them have lunchtime groups which I work with, and then I would usually meet with the school chaplain and kind of workshop how their school's going, how they're going, what programs they can use that are kind of a bit better. And then, if it's a close school, then I go back to the office and kind of finalise that sort of stuff. And if it's a school that's far away, so I've got a couple in the Blue Mountains, then I drive home afterwards. And then, do you want me to talk about what I do after work? Or,
like your whole day.
Cool. So I have a husband. So usually my day involves, he usually does the cooking, which is quite good. He's a much better cook than me. But usually I would come home and kind of clean up a bit and figure out what we were having for dinner. Jackson would probably cook it. And then do a bit more cleaning and watch some Netflix.
All right.
Yeah, so pretty boring night, but it's quite good.
Yeah, so it sounds like a big chunk of your normal day is traveling to. So you said 40 minutes to the home base of your work, and then you're traveling beyond that.
Yeah. So it is quite a lot of driving, which they kind of did warn me about, like when I was interviewing for the job and that sort of thing. So some people do live a lot closer to the office, but I don't, which is okay. But they have given me schools in my area, so I've got 6 schools in the eastern suburbs. So the days that I would visit them would be slightly different because I would just work from home instead of driving to the office and then driving back. So that's probably 1 day a week I would do that. So tomorrow I'm working in the eastern suburbs, so I'll just stay at home and do some work and then go to the school and come back. So there is a lot of travel, but it's all in work hours, which is quite nice.
Okay, wonderful. And so with your job, you said you are working with students.
Yep.
And so you kind of have a desire to be working around children?
Yeah.
And is that something that kind of made you decide to do this job versus other jobs? Or? Yeah,
I really wanted a job that that worked with kids, preferably in a school context. So I generally, the kids that I work with, some parts of what I'm doing is compulsory. So say if they are in a Christian school, then they have to go to chapel. Sometimes chapel can be really boring. But then the lunchtime group component is often voluntary, so students will choose to come to that. And then some schools I do kind of leadership training stuff with those students as well. So I really like that aspect of the job. And you get to see how different schools are. So some schools that I work with are really small. They're kind of in places like the Blue Mountains where communities are quite tight and everybody knows each other. And then one of my schools is like right in the CBD of Sydney. So kids catch the train and come in from all different places in Sydney. So you just see the difference in the kids that you get there too.
Okay, wonderful. So you're working with kids, but you're also in that office space where you said you're working with 8 other people. So how does that kind of affect your work?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny job because we all have lots of different schools that we're working with. So between us, there's 210 schools. Sorry about the background noise. So there's 210 schools in my division. So we each have between 20 and 30. And that means that we're often not in the office at the same time. So it's kind of a funny working environment from that perspective. Because there might only be 1 day a week where everybody's in the office at the same time, which is quite different to most workplaces, I think. Yeah.
So you're also in the office, but then you're leaving and traveling everywhere. And you were saying it was nice to see how the different schools are run, and how do the different environments for each of those schools kind of affect how you go about your work?
So maybe one good example is, so I'm working with the school chaplain and kind of working as a consultant with them, so trying to support them. And the different environments are quite influential on what type of chaplain it is, how long they've been there, things like their age. So for the more kind of traditional older schools, often their chaplains will be older, quite formal, quite traditional people. But they'll also often be highly professional, so they'll have PhDs, they'll have a full teaching load as well. Some schools, the chaplain that I work with might actually be a minister at a local church who comes in a couple of days a week, particularly if it's much smaller schools, so they're often, that's kind of their job in the school. So they, are probably slightly less educated, but still, like they would still have a degree, just not a PhD. So it's quite different, and even socioeconomically, so the schools in the eastern suburbs, the environment really does impact quite differently to, say, a couple of schools that I have on the Central Coast. Even just high fee paying schools compared to low fee paying schools, very different.
So you also are saying your role as, your occupation is your paid work, and then you have a role as a wife.
Yes.
Are there any other roles that you would categorize yourself as?
So I have a sister, and she has 3 kids. So she has a 2-year-old and newborn twins. Which is great and a bit crazy. So I help her out a fair bit. So usually Friday nights I would go and help her look after her kids and spend time with her and try and give her a bit of a break. So that's pretty good.
Nice. So sister and aunt. And what is that environment like, and how is that? I mean, with kids, but it's entirely different from your work environment or your home with you and your husband. So how does that play into your occupation?
It's a bit more chaotic than home. I think it's an interesting one because I've kind of being an aunt to the oldest one who's 2, so she can kind of talk to me and that sort of thing, but also just being an extra set of hands to help with the twins. And often that looks like my sister will kind of have zones because it's a bit hectic. So she'll often look after Hannah, the 2-year-old, and I'll look after the twins and kind of try and get them to sleep and that sort of thing. That is quite different to home. It's a lot more full on, and quite different to work too, because the kids that I'm working with I'm not related to.
Right. Yeah.
So it's very different.
And they're older.
And I don't know most of them, whereas I know these.
A little more relaxed, a little more family time.
Yeah.
Which is that important to you? You said you're there every Friday. So family plays a big role in your life?
Yeah. Me and my sister are quite close, so it's nice to be able to help her out, and particularly with my niece that's 2, it's nice to, she knows who I am and she can talk back to me and we can play games and that sort of thing because I see her a lot. So I really like that.
And so you kind of have a structure, you were saying, like with your day, how it's set up, and then going home, and then every Friday you're doing something. What would your day look like when some plans change, unexpected plans, and how would you go about dealing with that?
I like being really organised, so if things change I find that quite hard. I would much prefer that things stay kind of what I thought they were. So there's kind of 2 scenarios for work. So one might be I'm supposed to visit a school but they might cancel at the last minute. So that might be they had a school excursion or something like that, and they just weren't able to have me. I mean, schools are so busy that sometimes they forget. So sometimes that's a good thing if it gives me more time in the office, but sometimes that can be quite frustrating if you've prepared stuff or once I went to the school and they'd forgotten to tell me that it was cancelled, so I kind of had driven there and then had to drive back. So that's a bit annoying when that happens. I don't deal with that particularly well. And then the other one is often, because schools are just a bit hectic, things can be quite different. So you might get there. On Friday I went to a school and they usually have about 15 kids, but they had 40 kids. So I think I need to get better at being adaptable for my job. So even things like planning games or activities, you need to have stuff that will work for 10 kids or 50 kids, rather than something which doesn't work if the group size changes. I like being organised and things going to plan.
So it sounds like you spend a lot of time giving your time to work and to your home and husband and to your sister and family. So me thinking, like, reflecting on yourself, what are things that you do that kind of give you enjoyment or to wind down?
Yeah. I think I've been trying to work that out a little bit over the last couple of months. So, I've only been in my job for 3 months, so I feel like I'm still working on this a little bit. I think even just like watching TV at home is a really good thing to relax. I think it's just nice because you get to zone out and you kind of, like, my husband's there, but we don't have to talk to each other, which is quite good. I like doing things with friends, so I'm pretty extroverted, particularly on the weekend. I like seeing people, like having dinner with them. Near where I live, there's lots of really nice cafes, so I like kind of exploring them. They're probably the main things I do. I think I can wind down if I feel like things are under control. So kind of at the end of my day, I would make sure that I've kind of written a list of things that I have to do. Otherwise, I find it quite hard to switch off.
Yeah.
Because I think I get worried that I'll forget things.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're also talking, so you've been 3 months with your job, and you were talking about how you want to be more adaptable, and now you're saying how you're kind of working on taking that time for yourself. Do you have any like short-term, long-term goals that you are working towards?
I think so. One goal I have, which is I think will make my job a bit easier, is working out how to work with so many schools well. So I think this term because my job is kind of working in school, so it'll operate on a bit of a cycle through the year. So this term I was just trying to meet everybody and figure out what my job was and figure out what the different schools were like. So my goal for the next term would be figuring out how to schedule all of the school visits well. So some schools I have are quite close to each other, so trying to organise them so there's much less travelling and that sort of thing. And I think building up kind of like a list of activities that I can do that are really adaptable, and feeling like I've kind of got those skills so that if the situation changes, it's okay. So like one idea I thought of yesterday was keeping a box in my car that has games or like things which I can use for groups, so that if something changes when I'm on the way to a school, it's fine because I've got stuff that I can use. So I think kind of being a bit more prepared in that way would be good. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, so it sounds like you kind of have a plan of where to go for that goal.
Yeah.
I was also going to ask, do you know what occupational therapists do, or kind of what that field is at all?
Not really.
No? Okay.
No.
So,
sorry.
No, it's okay. So part of our jobs,
Yeah.
My future job
Yeah.
will be, if I'm working in schools, will be to help with students. And so our jobs, you need to be very adaptable to different students and different environments. Yeah, and so it kind of sounds, that's like a similar basis. But we are also more for preventative care for elderly, or in the stage, really into the compassion aspect of health.
Cool.
Yeah, so even if you would talk with NLT on how to be adaptable, that might be beneficial for you as well.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. So, do you have any last minute comments or questions to make?
No. It's been really interesting.
Yeah, great. Well, I think I have enough information.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Thanks for sitting down with me, and
That's right.
we can wrap it up.
Cool.
Thank you.
It's funny that so many people walk in the background.